Hello, welcome. You are going to hear continual noise in the background of this live stream because there is a sentient lampshade over there trying to clean itself from the inside. I think there's a possibility we may get cat cam later today, or cat cam might actually just find its way on mainstream. So, yes, Miss Dora is on her day 12 of wearing a cone after her surgery, and that has turned from she no longer is on the morphine and is feeling better, and therefore is directing all of her rage inward at the cone. So, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining. Apologies to anybody who was really looking forward to the Christmas live stream last week. I was also very excited for it, and then I came down with a very high fever and some kind of random sickness for 2 days. So I was better by Sunday, but yeah, I was like completely out of commission, kind of unexpectedly on Christmas. I still don't know what happened. I did like Google my symptoms and pretty much determined that I have like a childhood disease that's been eradicated 50 years ago. So like that's the level of I think I've decided I have rubella, which primarily I definitely have been vaccinated, and primarily is children under the age of 5. But my symptoms seem to indicate that based on me plus Google. So obviously that's what happened. Okay, there's chaos happening. Hello, welcome. So, Kevin said, stayed in the pending stream for a while, eventually figured something went wrong. I'm sorry about that. I had Aaron, like, update it too, but I was not, I I was asleep. I literally was passed out for like 2 straight days. So I didn't have the energy or ability to do anything. So yeah, maybe I just had malaise. Yes, hello, welcome. This is our sentient lampshade. And she is full of anger at the world in general. She went from being like cute and yes, Latitude said, oh, I can see the rage coming off of her. That is the best description. I just want to note, she walked across like bundles of pencils and she does not care. She is that like propelled by rage. So yes, she is, we also have like a little surgical collar that looks like a donut, which was explicitly meant for the live stream. Unfortunately, she can still get around it to her eye. I'll put her on my lap. It's not gonna work, but I'll put her on my lap. She does seem to primarily want attention. She just wants to know that she is the center of all attention. So yeah, what has she done? So she's feeling so better that she jumped on top of how many feet tall would you say? 10 feet? Is that a 10-foot tall? No, it's not quite.
It's like 8.
Wait, is it taller than we're tall? Maybe it's 6 feet tall. So the cat jumped on top of a 6-foot and then like all the way up to 8 feet above the house on a bookcase. She's doing fine, and then despite the fact that she's jumping around with this cone on and she keeps running it into various surfaces, it's between 6 and 10 feet tall. I don't know. It's a very tall bookcase. It's like one of those really big IKEA, like square bookcases. We were like, yes, she's feeling better. She's jumping on top of things instead of just sleeping all day like she was before she got surgery. However, through really no fault of her own, she went to the far end of it and turned around but was balanced on 2 tissue boxes, and the tissue box slipped off and she fell all the way down onto the floor onto like her food dispenser. So that happened, I think, yesterday. And then today she tried to jump up on top of a counter and failed because she ran the cone into the counter. She just turned around and is laying down, so it's possible she will no longer be wrecking havoc. I feel like I have to talk over the chaos. Like, that's how much chaos is going on. But she's doing very well. She's in great health, terrible mood is essentially what's going on. So Emily says Dora is gonna knock the donut under the ground. I will say, she has figured out how to snowplow. So her favorite nighttime activity generally is pushing everything from surfaces onto the floor. So she will just go and bat. And since she has this added tool, she's figured out how to use her cone to snowplow everything off of surfaces. She's managed to snowplow. I have a new water bottle for reasons, because she has run into it several times. And she finally broke my other water bottle, although it is being glued back together. We will see. She has snowplowed every coaster off. She has snowplowed almost my entire laptop, my phone. What other things? Yeah, the mail. She's a very big fan of pushing all mail onto the ground. So yeah, it is, it is a furious reign of chaos. It's a visual pun more than it's a audible pun, I guess. Well, now I have only one hand, but I can show you the donut. It's very exciting. And we can actually have a donut. Can I hold on to it with one hand? Okay. I'm getting donut valet service because my other hand is now taken up by a kitten. So this is Tahine churro twist donut. It's very pretty. And tahine is that spice, the like Mexican cinnamon sugar spice. I had to look it up because I couldn't remember what it was. I saw it and I was like, what is that flavor? And then I looked up at the internet. I was like, oh, that stuff. So I think it's going to be like spicy, sweet donut situation, which I'm pretty excited about. Kevin says, oh, Kevin's trying to bring us, I see, to the actual topic of the stream, not just donuts and my cat, my snowplow cat. With the new stimulus tax rules, will donuts now be 100% deductible when the policy takes effect? No. Unfortunately, donuts continue to not be 100% tax deductible, at least in this case, because they are meals, and meals are only 50% tax deductible. So, unfortunately. Although, wait, didn't the first CARES Act, wasn't there some sort of change that made meals 100% tax deductible? Oh my God, Kevin, now I can't remember. There's been so many changes to tax code this year through the CARES Act that was like temporary. I think that's only for corporations though. Oh, this is funny. Is a donut a meal? That's what I like to hear. I mean, you get to choose how you define meal for yourself, but yes, it falls under meal category. Kevin says, interesting. I thought one of the things in the new one that just passed. Yes. So I realized I think it was one of the things in the original CARES Act that passed that meals are tax deductible, but I'm not sure that it's true for self-employed people that are filing a Schedule C. I think that was actually only a change for corporations. So if you run a corporation or you work for a corporate entity, then I do think they are 100% tax deductible. Interesting. I actually forgot. Sorry. That isn't related to the stimulus, though, I am going to say. I was not prepared to walk you through all of the tax things, even though it was bundled in the stimulus bill. But, donuts. Pixie Dust says, breakfast is a meal. I mean, but, like, are donuts breakfast, though? Although I will say, so I usually try to go to the donut shop right when they open because they really have been having quite the queue, and I don't like to wait. I live so close to the donut shop, it, like, offends me to have to wait for my donut. Not to mention, like, standing in a line, even if socially distanced with masks on, is a little higher risk than I'm excited about. So anyway, I've been trying to go right after they open, like 7:05 a.m. to the donut shop, and I went down at 7:05 a.m. today, and it was pitch black, pouring rain, like not normal Portland kind of fog rain. It was just absolute cats and dogs coming down. And there was one person in the store, because they only let one person in the store at a time because it's like super tiny, and two people waiting in line, socially distanced outside. And I got down there and I was like, oh my God, already? So I went back upstairs to get an umbrella because it turns out it takes a really long time for people to pick donuts. So the line moves very slowly. So Kevin says, I'll read through the 5K pages and get back. I mean, that's great. You can also assign me to have a live stream about them, and I will read them in preparation for the live stream and do that. Rural is now here now that it is working. I'm sorry the live streams are so unfriendly to slow internet. There's been this app that someone I follow in the fandom world has been using called Stereo that does live audio. And you can, like, have guests on and people can send in voice message. And I'm actually very interested in the app, like, as a concept. It is clearly not ready for prime time. They signed on this, like, fairly big YouTuber that I follow to do, like, live streams on it. And the influx of the audience of, like, several thousand people trying to listen to live streams at once has shut down the app a bunch. But I keep having these moments where I'm like, this would be so awesome for my audience, because I mean, I think it's nice to be able to try these donuts, but one, there's not a lot of visual components to these live streams, and the ability to have voice messages come in without having them have to be like part of the edited show, I think would be really nice. And I also know that a lot of people feel a lot more comfortable with voice messages, especially anonymous, than they do with like chat, especially if it's like attached to your name or something like that. So I don't know. I thought it would be very cool. The app is clearly not ready. It could handle my audience size, no problem. But I will say it is a little bit of a frustrating onboarding experience. But Pixie says breakfast is in the mouth of the eat holder. People spending $600 stimulus on donuts. Rural says everything is unfriendly to slow internet. Yeah, that's fair. When I lived in Germany, because of the frustrations of being an Auslander in Germany and how hard it is to like get internet if you don't have a German credit score and stuff like that, I had a mobile internet stick in my flat because I couldn't like get permanent internet installed. And I was a student and I was living in a different country. And it was extremely frustrating because I had 5 gigs a month, which is kind of fine as long as you plan around it. But if I Skyped for too long, then I would like eat up all of my data. And I needed it for schoolwork and stuff like that. But I also needed it to like talk to friends because I wasn't going to go to the library at 2 a.m. when people were awake in the US. So, No, Pixie Dust says, why don't I have my stimulus yet? Not to derail the conversation. Hello. Thank you for coming here and asking questions about the stimulus, which is presumably the idea behind this live stream. So, briefly, stimulus passed last week. Finally, checks started going out on December 29th to people for which the IRS does not have bank account information. If they have bank account information because you updated it for the previous stimulus or because they had direct deposit information from the 2019 taxes, then they already have started sending out direct deposit. A lot of people, myself included, have already seen it land. Technically, January 4th is the day that they're officially out. They have made a very strong point, the IRS being the they here, keeps saying, please note, this is an automatic thing and your financial institution does not know when your check is going to arrive. Please do not call your bank. I do know that banking systems, like online systems, have slowed down across the board on Friday and Saturday because so many people were checking their bank accounts to see if their stimulus had landed. So a lot of people have already gotten it. And it really mostly depends on your financial institution. I would say that if you got it quickly the first time, because so Pixie just said, I got it quickly the first time and everyone I know has it. It likely has, it probably has nothing to do with your eligibility. Your eligibility is still determined from your 2019 taxes. So if you were eligible in 2019 based on your taxes and you got it last time, then you are going to get it the same way as long as you still have the same bank account that you did last time the stimulus came. I wouldn't worry too much about it being an eligibility thing. I'm sure they're going to screw things up. I'm sure some people are going to have to probably fill in that damn form. I will say, remember how it was like a disaster last time and a ton of people weren't getting it and then they didn't even have the form up yet to get a check sent to you or like a EIB card? All of that they have worked out. The IRS has been ready to send this extra stimulus for like 6 freaking months waiting for Congress to actually pass it. So Latitude says, my girlfriend has it, but I do not, and I think it is illegal. Okay, so probably not illegal. Did you get it last time? So it definitely has, Latitude was like, she has a W last name and I have a B last name, so it is not that. It has nothing to do with your last name or anything. It has everything to do with your financial institution. So it just has to do with like the IRS's relationship for direct deposit with your financial institution. You could think of it as how clogged the tubes are and how like slow the tubes are on the way to your financial institution. That's the best way that I would do it. Pixie Dust says, wait, there's means testing for the stimulus? Yes, there is means testing for the stimulus. That is one of the most important things to know. It is based on your 2019 taxes. So for an individual, you have to have made below $75,000 to get the full $600 for each person in your household. If you are married, it is double that. And it phases out up to $87,000. This is based on your adjusted gross income from your 2019 taxes. So if you didn't qualify in 2019 because you had a high income then, and then in 2020, your income went down, you lost your job or something like that, the only way that you're going to get that stimulus payment and the previous stimulus payment is at the time that you file your taxes. So if you did qualify for it based on this year's income, but you did not get it because your 2019 income is too high, then there is something called a recovery rebate, and you will be able to get it at the time. The phase out between $75,000 and $87,000, or double that for married filing jointly, is a phase out for each $100 that you make over that amount. It's a slow phase out. So, and it completely drops out at $87,000. Rural says, so when it rains, some of the tubes fill with water. Yes, accurate. To that note, I'm annoyed that they put means testing on it. Not that I needed the stimulus, but people who are doing well and lost jobs won't get it until tax filing. Yes, I know. It is extremely frustrating. There's a couple things that they fixed with this stimulus that they didn't have the first time. I would like to roll up my sleeve, but I have only one hand. Okay, I've done it now. I wish you all could see what's happening on my lap because it's really out of control cute. There are a couple things that they did do better to give credit where credit's due. I think it's really disappointing, one, how long it's taken, which is Congress's fault through and through. Two, how little it is for people that really need it. So the means testing being based on the 2019 taxes is largely just a factor of that's the best way that we have. One of the things that they did fix is that mixed income households can get, or mixed status households can now get it. So for the last round of stimulus, if one person in the household was undocumented and the other person was a legal resident with a green card or a citizen, that neither of them would be able to qualify for it. What they did fix this time is if you're undocumented, you still do not qualify for it. However, if you have other people in your household that do have social security numbers, then you are legally allowed to, you will get it based on just you in the household. Rural said, are the stimulus payments taxable income? No, they are not taxable income. They do not factor in at all to your taxable income. So you will not have to pay taxes on them. You will get them back. And if you received them, but you actually, so maybe you made less than $75,000 last year, but then this year you, actually ended up making more than that, but you got the stimulus, you are not going to have to pay it back. During the first round, it was a little uncertain about whether that was going to be true. They have worked it out. You will not have to pay back the stimulus. Rural says, we got our deposit on 1/1/21. I got my deposit on 12/31. Like, fast. They have already been mailing out the checks and the electronic benefit cards for people that they do not have them. Postal Service obviously has been having shrugs lately, so don't know how fast that's going to hit. But yeah. Denise says, my credit union has a banner on their website asking people not to keep checking. I was checking all of my websites because I was doing my end of year accounting reconciliations, and I kept getting all these pop-up notices. Abel Jack says, no one will believe me when I say the internet stops working when it rains. Thanks you. I mean, makes perfect sense. Our rain-sensitive internet is DSL. I thought thought when we were talking about rain, we were talking about the stimulus, but we were actually talking about rain when it comes to internet, so. Rural says, I don't have a data cap, but no way I'd reach one anyway at the speeds I can get. Worse when it rains. This cat is like, it's out of control. Would you like to see this passed out lampshade on my lap? Ooh, this little sentient lampshade. She's gonna be a little pirate kitty. It's looking really good. I would show it to you, but she's, you know, very busy napping now. This is, I mean, honestly, this is preferable to whatever was going on before. The, like, I will wreak havoc on your children and your children's children kind of status that she was in. Does anyone have any other stimulus check payment questions? So, what to do if you still haven't received it? The IRS is essentially saying wait for 10 days. So they're saying wait till the 10th of January before you do anything. Or sorry, the 14th of January, because January 4th is the official day that they start going out. So they're saying wait till the 14th of January. You get $600 for each adult in the household that has an SSN that is not a dependent, and then you get $600 for dependents, but the dependents have to be under 17 years old. So there was thought that they were going to finally freaking fix that from last time, because it's really sucks. Like, a lot of people have moved back in with their parents. There's a lot of college students that don't qualify for it. But if you are claimed as a dependent on someone else's taxes, but you are over the age of 17, then they will not get stimulus dollars for you. All of the comments are just about my cat and not about the stimulus, which is fair because she's very cute. She's in the exact same position. I'm confused about the means test. Is there an assets test somehow? No, no assets test. It's just income. It's just based on income from 2019. Like a terribly imperfect measure. But yes. Oh, Brian likes my top and my cat. Well, thank you. Yes, both my top and my cat are adorable. If your income comes from SSI or SSDI, you will get the stimulus payment. So, yeah. Latitude says, I think it should be noted I immediately went on Poshmark and searched for this sweater. I stalked this on the internet for quite a long time before it popped up on Poshmark, and I was like, I have to get this for the stream. I'm not allowed to buy any more Pusheen stuff, though. I think I need a little break from the amount of Pusheen I own. Latitude, I like that you've been influenced, but you've been influenced to buy something from Poshmark. Which is like... It's, this is why I'm terrible at being an influencer. Because I'm always like, oh, here's the cheap or free way that you can get something. The cat got cute again, so we need to switch to cat cam. My toddler enjoys watching Pusheen videos on YouTube. I don't think he's been influenced. They're just cute. Yeah, I mean, no, but I think it's an influence. You're influenced if someone is wearing something and then you go look to buy it, which, you know, I do frequently, so. Yes, isn't she cute? This is the little tired kitten. Oh, now it's time to have a bath. This is the saddest bath. Pixie Dust says, does it count as influenced if I'm just constantly wearing your old Pusheen-icorns? No, I was just saying the other day how, like, happy I am that those found a home with someone who wears them on a regular basis. And you so regularly are wearing them in photos that it is clear that you are not just, like, wearing them to be like, oh, look, here is this gift that you got me. This cat is out of control. Sentient lampshade. I do have a hand again, though. Welcome Welcome to the world of sirens in my neighborhood. Our neighborhood was locked down yesterday. There was like a high-speed car chase from a marijuana dispensary robbery, and then they locked down the entire neighborhood with like sirens on all sides to search for 5 armed suspects for like 4 hours. It was also like pouring rain again yesterday, so yeah. Have I listened to the Felineology Ologies podcast? No. Maybe I should. SK says she's gonna have the cleanest cone. Here's the thing. I don't think it's actually getting clean at this point. I think she's just like, it's like, you know, when you try to clean windows or mirrors, but you're using something that is not appropriate window cleaner. I think that's what's going on with the cone right now. We have been letting her like off cone for cute purposes, like so that she can start having a little bath. We're trying to like make it so that she doesn't just go like ham. We don't want her to have like a cone rum springa when she gets off the cone on Monday. So we've been letting her like have some baths supervised, and then we shut down the bath as soon as the back foot starts coming out to like, you know, try to clean her face. But yes. My neighborhood has had the biggest helicopter I've ever seen hovering all night a couple days ago. It sounded hella creepy. Ooh. Whenever there's like hovering helicopters is always unnerving. We had so many helicopters during the protests here, like during the real peak of the Portland protests. We just constantly had helicopters going because we're not terribly far from the protests. My childhood cat got his tongue stuck once in his cone. Oh no, I was worried about that earlier. I was like, oh, that's probably an irrational fear, but now I have a real fear. Latitude says, I have Google alerts set up for the Christmas Pusheen sweater you wore in December. I think I told you this at the time, but what I will say is that sweater is huge on me and it's an extra small. So my recommendation is size down from whatever your normal size is, because I wanted it to be oversized fit and it is, but it's an extra small and normally I wear a small. So if I had gotten a medium to get an oversized fit, I would have been able to camp in that. Rural says, we have regular bomber training runs that go over here because the mountains must resemble Afghanistan. Oh, interesting. That's very fascinating. I know you had, like, folks locally that were, like, lost on the mountains a while ago, but it sounds like it all worked out. Like, on Christmas? I don't know. Should we eat a donut? Is that, like, a thing? Should we eat a donut? Does anybody have any more stimulus questions before we get into this donut? Should we go to cat cam again? She's now fallen asleep again. This little one. Look at this little kitten. Dora. Nothing. Latitude says, what am I supposed to buy with $600? Oh, yeah, I kind of was like, one of the premises that I had was that I was going to kind of ask the question of, like, what is, oh no, chaos is happening. I was going to ask the question of, like, what is the point of a $600 stimulus? Does it make a difference? And, like, do stimuluses help overall? I think this cat is trying to disconnect the live stream right now. So there's a couple interesting things going on right now. Consumer disposable income, personal disposable income in the United States has actually risen by 6% this year, which is like the largest increase that we've seen year over year in 35 years. And that is, and our savings rates have also gone up. So one, we save a lot more when we experience uncertainty. And two, even though we are having huge, terrible economic consequences felt across the economy, it's being felt very unequally, right? So a lot of white collar people did not actually have changes to their jobs. And because of that, they got this extra stimulus money, and the amount they were making actually didn't change. And then a lot of service industry workers or blue collar workers in essential fields actually had their pay go up because they were getting paid hazard pay. So they got the stimulus and they got some hazard pay, so their overall income went up. And then additionally, quite a lot of people, they did suffer job loss, but they were on unemployment, and they either had 100% replacement of income from unemployment, or some people actually even made more on unemployment. And quite a lot of those people did getting their jobs back. Some of them lost them again, second shutdown. But there are a lot of people for which they actually did have more income this year. And for some people that only really offset the increase in essentials. So like, I know I've experienced groceries have gone up quite a lot. Like cleaning products, things like that, supply chain issues have increased costs there. But for some people, it also offset things like gas prices were lower this year. But fuel demand dropped a lot, and because of that, like transport costs dropped a lot. And so for a lot of people, they actually had more money, and they also had less ways to spend it. There was less places to discretionarily spend. Additionally, the kind of unevenness of this distribution of people that lost jobs, that aren't able to get unemployment, or unemployment has this extra $300 a week that we have now still doesn't replace their previous income. Those are the people we want to get stimulus to the most, right? Like, those are the people that need it because they're at risk of getting pushed out of their houses. Those are the people that are having issues with getting food, getting access to things. There's, they are the folks that are lost in these holes of the social safety net right now. And is $600 enough? No. We all know that. Like, we fundamentally all know that. We know that for most people that does not pay even for a month of housing in most of the country. And, it's for $600 is actually very close to the average family of four, or the average family of five's monthly grocery spending. That being said, like, that's it. That's you. Okay. That's the second check that we've gotten in how many months? The United States is the richest country in the world, but the way that they're providing income support is very different than other rich countries. And it really is showing how bad the social safety net is right now. So what does this $600 do? Well, practically that people will find a way to use it on the essentials if they need it. There's plenty of memes going around where everybody's like, oh, you should start a business with the $600, whatever. You might need to use it to pay rent or for groceries or whatever. Don't shame people for how they spend this. There are a lot of folks for which this $600 is not going to make a big difference, or $1,800. Let's say you're a family of three. That isn't going to make a big difference in their day-to-day living for all of those reasons that I listed. They have more disposable income, they have less places to spend it, blah, blah, blah. What we are going to see, likely, and that's part of the idea behind a stimulus, is that people then spend that money. So they spend it, and by spending it, they generate some demand. For me, I ended up donating almost all of my stimulus money. So that is, that's one of the options for folks. There's a couple websites, I will try to find them and link, where you can actually just, if you want to pass them on to someone else, because they are not taxable income to you. So if you really feel like you don't need it, and you can pass it on to someone else. Ablejack says, any projections on how much of the stimulus actually gets spent by those who receive it? No, I'm really intrigued to see that. I do know that there are a couple economists that are actually looking at longitudinal studies of how people are spending both extra unemployment money and how people are spending stimulus dollars, but we don't really know. We do know that the savings rate has risen, but it started to drop back down again, and I'm really intrigued to see how it ends up actually being used. one of the big things that like people are hoping for is that it generates demand in things like durable goods. So if you work in a household that hasn't suffered severe loss of income, you might suddenly be like, $1,800, that's a new fridge, or $1,800, that's a washing machine. A lot of these durable goods are the things that drive our economy. We are a consumer-based economy in the United States, and these kind of durable goods are things that we do get quarterly reports on, and we have a good idea, and it indicates how the economy is doing overall. I will also say, just from like a practical human, non-economist perspective, if you are in the position where you do get one of these kind of windfalls that is, it's a lot of money, but it's also not a lot of money. These kind of windfalls are the kind of things that people are more likely to spend on something like a durable good. And just like speaking as someone who's spending a lot of time at home, if I didn't rent, I could easily see something like a dishwasher or a fridge being something that would bring me a lot of joy. I would love to have a dishwasher that's easier to load, or, just a dishwasher period if I didn't have one, or something like that. So yeah. Denise says, mine will be buying $700 worth of diapers at Target. Yes. I like that. Diapers are very expensive. Emily says, groceries are so expensive right now. Yes. Groceries are, do people want to learn about the basket of goods? Do people know about the basket of goods? I've probably referenced it before. The basket of goods is what we use to drive the consumer price index, which is what if you work in like a government industry, you may very well have your pay set based on the rate of inflation from the consumer price index. But they use the basket of goods to indicate like how this overall kind of essentials and various things, certain measurements raise the price of goods. And the consumer price index has been finding that the average basket of goods of groceries right now is like out of control. The way they actually do basket of goods are like secret shoppers who shop at the same secret stores every month to calculate the consumer price index. But you can't like be public, because you could like completely change the course of the US economy if you were like knew that secret shopper shopped on the 15th of whatever month at, Jim's Super Saver and got these basket of goods. Then guess what? You could like jack up the price on that to try to raise the CPI, and then you raise the CPI, and that changes how everybody gets their money calculated for. A dishwasher that is easier to load or which exists. I will say, I have a dishwasher. It exists. It actually works pretty well. It works better than the one that I had in my old 70s apartment building that we used just as a dish drying rack. But if I lived in a house that did not have one and I owned, I could very well see that. Vacuums. I feel like vacuums are the kind of thing right now where you're like, yes, I would like me a vacuum. So a dryer that doesn't catch on fire. Oh yeah, I forgot. You've been having a lot of fire dryer incidences. Pretty sure that all dishwashers start to flood after a year of use, no matter how much they originally cost. That's not true. If that's your experience, you're acquiring the wrong dishwashers. Oh, I didn't realize this, but the cat is being carried around right now. Latitude says, oh, I would like a vacuum. See? Here we go. You asked what you should spend your $600 on. I launched into an unnecessary explanation of the consumer price index and durable goods, and now you have figured out what you need to buy with your $600. Vacuums are great. I'm gonna eat this donut now. Art of the Budget says, I shared 40% of my first check, but I'm seriously thinking about getting a bread mixer with the second. I bake my own bread regularly since way before quarantine and have made do hand kneading. I mean, as someone whose hands are terrible, I think this is a great investment. I bake no bread, so it would be a terrible investment for me. But if you're going to get use out of it, I think it's a good thing. not to justify rampant consumerism, but what I will say is by choosing to buy goods, you are helping increase demand. When we increase demand, overall, companies have more profit, they hire more jobs. I'm not justifying trickle down economics, but what I am saying is if there is something that you would like to buy and you are feeling deep guilt about not instead donating it or whatever, just know that that is part of what is help driving economic recovery. So, is the basket of goods a vegetable? No, it's like a specifically measured collection of different things, but maybe it's a vegetable because this is an Oh My Dollar live stream. So I think we're all supporting you, Art of the Budget, getting a bread machine. I think it's a great idea. Latitude says, I went to my girlfriend's house for cat sitting and she only owns one pot and a pasta maker. Okay, I just want to comment on, like, I totally understand being young and only owning one pot, but the combination of one pot and a pasta maker I find very interesting. Because I feel like there's many other things that you would get in between a pasta maker and one pot. I lived in a collective house that we at one point were considering opening a museum of single-use kitchen items because so many people had lived in the house for so long that it had just like accumulated like pasta maker, we had several popcorn makers, but that was actually not because of old housemates. That's because our former housemate and friend Kelly Peach, who passed away this year, she ran a human ridiculous Olympics ballyhoo, and in it there was like we needed a bunch of popcorn makers for one of the exercises. So yes. Anyway, Pixie Dust says, wait, is this the place I lived in for one night? No, this is not the place you lived in for one night. People in that place, that was like a punk rock anarchist co-op. People in that place are like way too hardcore for single-use kitchen items. No, this was like a more chill kind of punk house, and we definitely had like, what all did we have? I mean, I was impressed sometimes when I'd open that cabinet and the things I would find in there. I made pasta from a box and she doesn't have a strainer. So I'm going to give you my like cheapskate set up a kitchen advice. There's two places that you should go. First stop, thrift store. I recommend not going to one of the like fancy thrift stores where you would normally go to like find nicer items. I recommend going to your like garden variety, like Goodwill, Salvation Army, because inevitably you can find a complete collection of dishes for like less than $10. And Goodwill, because they do like the randomized color of stickers, you could just only pick the ones that have the 50% off sticker that week. And you can get complete collection of dishes for $10. And then the second place you can go, if you didn't manage to get all the things that you wanted at Goodwill, go to the dollar store, whatever your local dollar store is. You can fill in almost everything you need from your kitchen, like strainers, spatulas, everything at your local dollar store. If you have a Primark, you can also do like a Primark, but that's my recommendation. Start with the used. You'll get like higher quality items, and then whatever you like can't find, or like you find maybe at the thrift store, but you're like, this spatula maybe has seen better days, go to the dollar store. That's my recommendations. I'm pretty good at setting up kitchens because I used to move a lot. And then the only thing I would say that I wouldn't recommend buying at those two places is like one proper knife. So I don't know, maybe get a vacuum and a knife. Those are the two things. Latitude says she doesn't even own spatulas. Here's the thing. You can go get yourself a spatula at the dollar store. You can get like a 3-pack of perfectly fine spatulas. I have stuff from the dollar store that I got like 12, 13 years ago that I'm still using in my kitchen. And then there's also some stuff that I've slowly upgraded. So I have this, we're just totally devolving into kitchen talk now, but I have this thing that I want to buy that I considered. I got like a couple small windfalls at the end of the year, and I was like, should I buy it now? Is this the time to buy it? And I can also count it as a business expense because it's a tea kettle. And I was like, you own a tea company now. You can buy a tea kettle as a like business expense. But I really want to get a variable temperature gooseneck kettle, and there's some that like come in this gorgeous rose gold color, and I just desperately want to get it. However, it's expensive. It's like $150. All of the reviews are like, this is fabulous. I used it at an old fancy office I used to work at for making pour over and stuff. Ugh. But I may be moving in 7 months, and I feel like that's not the time to invest in a kettle. So Latitude says, I was involved in the Cutco pyramid scheme, so I own a bunch of Cutco knives. What I will say about Cutco, it's not technically a pyramid scheme. It's just like sketch. It's just like a sketchy company, I think. I don't think it's actually an MLM, but Cutco knives are really good. Latitude says, would recommend, not worth the pyramid scheme. Yeah, that's how I feel too. I had an ex who sold Cutco in high school, and they're like surprisingly good knives. So Emily says, the Meissen knife is really solid if anybody wants a good knife for sub $100. Kenneth says, I love my knife. I house sit with my kitchen knife because I don't trust other knives. So I had a complete chef set because I used to be a cook, like a professional cook. And so those are my work tools. And years of living in collective houses destroyed all of those knives. Like they either got lost or like roommates did dumb stuff with them. And so now I just own like one good knife, and I feel okay about it. It turns out I only really need one good knife. I don't do a lot of elaborate cooking. I do like the same things over and over again. So as long as that stays sharp, I'm good at it. It was like, I think it was like a $30 knife. It wasn't outrageous. So Pixie Dust says, a friend did the Cutco thing too and loved the knives. That's the thing, is Cutco are really good knives. It's just like their whole business model is a little... Ramona says, I got a decent bread knife for Christmas and it's a freaking joy to use. It only took me yelling, boy, I wish I had a decent bread knife every time I cut bread for 6 months to get one as a gift. Ramona, I gotta say, props to whoever got that for you, because you could probably do that, and I would probably never realize that you need to get that as a gift. I'm terrible at gift giving. Latitude says, I am the chef in the relationship, so I understand why she owns nothing. I will be buying us a KitchenAid stand mixer. I think that's romantic. I will say, KitchenAid stand mixers, they're beautiful, but you need to do a lot of a very specific kind of cooking to justify the cost. But I do agree it's romantic. There is a reason why it is commonly a wedding present, which is also, it looks beautiful and you may never actually use it. Ramona says, I also set an Amazon wish list with links to bread knives. I appreciate your lack of subtlety, frankly. I think that's some good props. All right, should we eat this donut now? Here is the donut. It has a gorgeous, like, twist situation. And it is a tahine churro donut. It's like very bready on the inside. I don't have my donut adjusting person. They got a call. By the way, the kitten is now just quietly in a box. It's very regular, dense bread inside. I'm not getting a lot of the tahine spice yet. Nathan says the AccuSharp like less than $15 can rescue a punk house worn knife pretty well. That is good to know. All of mine have been lost long ago to time. But if this happens to me again, that's the other thing, is sometimes if you've got a good eye for knives, you can go to thrift stores and get knives and then sharpen them and make them, like, you can get a $200 knife sometimes at a thrift store and, like, repair it. I'm not really getting the tahini from it. I mean, my review is it tastes exactly like you would expect a churro donut to taste. It's not really making me, like, I don't know, cough or anything. It's just kind of a donut. I mean, the outside is incredible. It's so good. Anybody have any questions about the donut? My review is not great. It's got that excellent, like, grainy outside. It's really not spicy as I hoped, though. Pixie Dust says, I miss shitty street churros. From Florida or from New York? Thomas says, hi, is that from the vegan donut place in Hollywood? Yes, as always. Tomas, thanks for joining us. I'm really not getting any of the tahini through this, and it's kind of disappointing me. Pixie Dust says, no one walks on the street in Florida. Here's the thing. I have been watching Jane the Virgin again, and it takes place in Miami, and because it's a television show, I'm led to believe that plenty of people both ride the bus and walk around and get churros from carts all the time. Also, there's no travel times in Miami. They're, like, you know, they seemingly go all around town all the time. Which is also true of, like, every show in New York City, where you're, like, they're in Midtown and they need to get to, you know, like, Flushing or something, and somehow they can manage to get there in 5 minutes. I'm just gonna finish this donut. There's this kind of crappy TV show called The Bold Type. It's like, it's fluffy. It's not crappy, it's fluffy. Although, they did some kind of screwed up things to their bisexual character in the last season. But, that show is like, it's like these like young, you know, millennial Gen Zs that work at like Cosmo. It's like a fake version of Cosmo magazine called Scarlet Magazine, in New York City. And like, they're, you know, young and making crappy salaries and making moves in New York City. And that entire show would not work if there was any transport times in New York City. Oh, several people watch the show and love it. I'm glad to hear that the several people like the show. It's like, it's nice and fluffy, and it definitely was like meant to appeal to my demographic. Like, I found out about it originally because of a targeted Instagram ad before it came out. And I was like, feminist, workplace-based, has lots of nice clothes. Yeah, this is probably going to be up my alley. The thing that I didn't like about it was that they got a little too after-school special in a lot of the episodes. Like, the way they handled gun control, just, like, I was just like, wow, that was lazy writing. And there's a lot of people that are very upset, including the actress who plays the character, about, like, how they handled one of the lesbian storylines in the last season. So, yeah. It is all fluff. I think it does a decent job of what it is trying to do. I will say it helps that one of the executive producers is the editor, like a former editor of Cosmopolitan magazine. So I do think it's like relatively accurate about like how things move in the world of Cosmo. Although it's called Scarlet in the show, but yeah. I also don't love that like their kind of like primary character is just I think it's meant to be that she's like kind of like a not likable protagonist in that she just like she's always whining, but yet doors are always opening for her. So which is true for a lot of them, but yeah, that she's just like kind of constantly not aware of her privilege or whatever. Things always seem to be very easy for her, but she seems to always act like they're very hard. But I will say the other characters call her out on that. So, hello and welcome to coming to what I thought was going to be an economics show, but is actually just Lily talks about what you need to stock your kitchen and also critiques television shows that she has no expertise to critique. Do we have any other topics? We're at the bottom of the hour. So, what are people up to this week? What are people doing? What are people going to buy with their stimulus check if they are getting one? I'm really curious. Or are you just going to save them? Economics of the bold type. Oh my God. I want to talk. I do appreciate that the bold type talks about money, but like I'm obsessed with like could this character afford their lifestyle on their salary? I'm obsessed with that. And I will say that I am intrigued about their, I am intrigued because they seem to have the like apartment side of things and they do talk about money. They talk about money and talk about rent, which I think is valuable. But it seems like they were very focused on making sure that it was like accurate to what they could afford as far as like housing. But then they're like regularly taking like taxi rides and, the costume designer has said that there's this level of fantasy that they are kind of building into it. So they do have them like repeat clothes in a way that normally a series wouldn't. But she's like, I allow for some level of suspension of disbelief and fantasy by like working in these high-end pieces by saying that they have access to like the wardrobe closet at the magazine. So, Ash's some buying of nice clothes. Oh, nice. That seems good. Tomas is saving his stimulus, got a mortgage and junk now. I mean, that seems good. Using it to either pay your stimulus or just like prepare for the uncertainty. Congrats on the mortgage. I know it's a recent acquisition for you. Abel Jack says the NDAA passed. I'm going to fondle my 2021 budget spreadsheet. Yeah, I was thinking about you as they were debating that, where I was like, I wonder how much like frustration and uncertainty. So is this your personal budget spreadsheet or is this your like budget spreadsheet for your ship? I'm assuming both, probably. Christina says our household is getting $1,200. 600 is going to the Oregon Food Bank, still deciding on what's happening with the other 600. That seems like a very good split. Food banks need money more than ever right now, and you can either donate that other 600 or you can save it for future uncertainty or, whatever you might do. Claire says, part of the stimulus money is being saved. Some will be spent on fun stuff. Abel Jack says, personal, yes. Is this just because you can, like, breathe a sigh of relief now that you, like, know you actually have income next year? Pixie says, fancy jigsaw puzzles. Wow, that's some, like, serious plan. Ash is doing some saving. Is anybody not getting it? And kind of just not worrying about it at all? I think a little bit of saving or a little bit of donating and then a little bit of spending is like a really good balance. I think it's not that much money if you're just a single person, and $600 is great. It can make a huge difference if you need it to pay your rent or pay for food, but it is not so much that it's such a windfall that you need to like panic about using it incorrectly or whatever. You can, have a little for fun, a little to donate. Abel Jack says, I got $38.20 in stimulus. Oh man, because of the phase out. Rachel says, saving it towards sinking funds in an upcoming medical bill. Plus, I did a little bit towards retirement early to get it under 2020 contributions. That's actually really smart. I actually had a moment yesterday when I woke up where I was like, oh, I actually have the money and I could do the early in the year maxing thing out, because normally I don't feel comfortable doing the maxing things out early for my IRA, but I have the income and the savings right now to do it. And I could possibly do it right now, knowing that my income might drop later this year. I don't know. I still, like, cash savings makes me feel safer. I kind of like to space out my IRA, even if it's not the most time in the market for my money. Denise says, 5,000-ish diapers for donating bike. Probably will be more than one trip. That seems fair, that it's going to be more than one trip. Do you have a cargo trailer? Kenneth says, I'm still signed up for a paper check. I think. God knows when it'll show up. I'm really eager to know when it shows up. So if you do, when you get it, if you're on a stream or on the forums or whatever, please let us know. I'm really curious to know if you actually get it. And also, you may want to consider giving them direct deposit information, because there's a possibility we're going to have a third stimulus under the new administration. Art of the Budget says, remember 24? They were never in traffic in LA. Oh, I've never seen 24, but never in traffic in LA is very impractical. That was also true in Angel. Like, Angel takes place in LA, and maybe they can just justify it because they have mythical powers or whatever, but they never got stuck in traffic in LA. Kevin says, I don't get it, but I will be just fine. I've been fortunate that the pandemic hasn't touched my work for now. I mean, it's a better position to be in than to need it. Brianna says, I always max out my Roth IRA in January, and I never remember early enough to transfer the money into my checking from my savings so I can transfer it to my brokerage. I like that you, like, have a plan to do that early. Denise says a long tail and a trailer. Oh, does your long tail work with your trailer at the same time, or are you gonna, like, space it out? I feel like maybe with those two things, you still probably won't be able to get $600 worth of diapers on it. My friend started to play back up playing cello, and I'm trying to get her to play the Angel theme. I have been interested in maybe rewatching Angel, but I'm trying to find it in German, because I would like to watch a show that I've watched in German with the German subtitles on, so that for watching German shows is good for, like, actually hearing natural language and the, like, getting cultural references, but sometimes you actually want to watch something familiar and then just see it in a different language. So I've been thinking about that. I've also been looking for Chuck in German. Don't have a DVD player, don't really want to buy DVDs, so gonna have to figure that out. So I'm kind of hoping with the VPN I might be able to get it off Netflix or something. Latitude says, I will be buying robot supplies and Ember mugs, some snacks And maybe a new office chair, not a vacuum? I don't know. I thought I sold you on the vacuum situation. All right. Well, it sounds like you all have a lot of plans. Lots of things to do. I am very excited that I am about to go watch RuPaul's Drag Race, which premiered yesterday, the new season. And I'm normally excited about RuPaul, but I'm particularly excited about RuPaul this season because one of my favorite figure skaters, Cordero Zuckerman, who, if COVID hadn't happened, was actually going to choreograph me a program. Cordero Zuckerman is on as Denali Fox because Cordero has a drag persona, Denali Fox. So I'm really excited. Apparently she lip syncs in ice skates or something during the first episode. So I guess I know she made it to the lip sync. But yes, I'm so excited. And I'm like really excited to cheer on Denali, aka Cordero, on this. So it's going to be rad. Also, she's the first Alaskan to be on RuPaul's Drag Race, and I think the first native person drag queen to ever be on RuPaul's Drag Race US. So it's gonna be very exciting. That's probably the most important part. Well, have a lovely week, you all. There are challenges going on the Oh My Dollar forums right now. There is Snackuary, which is about assessing or lowering your food costs this month. It should be great. Very cute stickers for that. And we are also kicking off the 21 in 2021 challenges, which are saving $21,000, saving 21% of your income, or saving $21 a week or $21 a month, whichever is most comfortable for your income level. And we also have we brought back bingo for 2021 as well, if you maybe don't want to do a savings challenge. So, and remember that debt repayment counts as part of savings, including your mortgage principal if you do have a mortgage or paying down student loans. So if you are thinking about doing those and you're like, maybe I can't do it, check them out. They might actually fit your goals anyway. So Brianna says, just in time for me to buy $45 worth of Japanese snacks for a one-time subscription. Well, maybe you can like parse it out for how long the snacks will last you, although I'm sure $45 of Japanese snacks would probably last me about a day, so maybe that wouldn't help. All right, stay safe, stay hydrated, and we will see you all same time, same place next week. Bye.